And it's 12:05 in the afternoon, and right here, right now, it's time for Helping Seniors of Brevard, the program heard right here every Wednesday from 12 to 1 with our wonderful host, Kerry Fink, who is also the executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard. And he has some very special guests today. Lots of good information for our senior population. I'm Jim Votro. John Harper has just gotten in off assignment. So I'm sure he's going to give you a much better weather forecast at the mid-show break. Kerry, I'm going to turn the show over to you at this point, and we'll have some fun. Okay?
Thank you, Jim and John, always for the opportunity for us to be here on the radio, lunchtime hour, right here on 90.3 WEJF FM. And for those of you that listen to us online, we appreciate you tuning in. And for many of you who join us as a podcast, we appreciate you listening. And one of the reasons we do the podcast is so often when we have an excellent program like we have lined up for you today, people say, this is really good. I need somebody to hear this, because we're talking about literally fresh off the, I don't know what you call it. It's fresh out of the oven, but it's not the oven. It's fresh out of the process of compiling data is probably the right way to say it. We're going to talk about Alzheimer's today and really get into the topic of that. There's some brand new detailed numbers that are just coming out, statistics coming out from the Alzheimer's Association. So I want to introduce the panel of guests who are really all experts in this and try my best to get out of the way, because these guys really are kind of front lines. And I think you're going to get some great statistics, some great support. You're going to get some good news, too, because one of the things that I've always felt like whenever we have an Alzheimer's conversation is if you have a history of it in your family, then, of course, you're incredibly concerned if this is going to happen down the line, maybe to you. And they actually, in this research, there's some good news about that we're going to talk about, that there are things that you can do that will make a difference. And so with that, let me start by introducing none other than a longtime friend of Helping Seniors, Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors. How are you today, Jennifer?
Wonderful. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on this topic, because I know with the work that you do with Seniors Helping Seniors, you are so often that first rung that comes into the house and helps families get used to getting some help in the house as people are getting older, and it gives the families a whole great sense of peace that somebody that is competent is able to help with the family members.
Absolutely. And I've got a very personal relationship with the Alzheimer's Association. I've been involved personally since about 2013, but when my aunt was diagnosed, my uncle was one of the very first participants in the Alzheimer's Association back in the early 80s. Wow. So I'm a legacy.
Yeah, so you definitely understand all this from the inside out. Another person who has really invested a lot of time and really become a great resource in our community about this, another longtime friend in the Helping Seniors family, is Denise Bergman, and her company is called Senior Care Authority. And what she does is help families organize the best plan. Just almost anybody who's getting older that may be starting to consider, like, I'm going to need extra help, or maybe I'm going to have to find a place that's correct. And we're always talking about, please don't call that 800 number you see on TV. Okay, there's somebody says, oh, we'll find a place for mom, dad, aunt, or uncle. The problem is you're calling maybe some very fine people, but they're not local. And so they're going to pick up the phone in Nebraska, and they're going to try to look online and try to get you connected with something. We always say, why don't you call somebody like Denise Bergman at Senior Care Authority, who's here local? She goes into these locations like every week. She knows who's doing a good job in taking care of the seniors. She knows how to match the senior. And Denise, we've talked about this many times, that one of your goals is to make sure that when you get somebody placed, it works so they don't have to be disrupted and moved again. Welcome to the show, Denise.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and I just for half a second, I want to harp on that point that you've made that really clear, that your goal is to take the time with the family to make sure that if there's a move that's coming up, it's the right move and it's the lasting move that's going to make sense for everybody.
That is correct, and I appreciate you saying that. I do an in-depth discovery call with all of my families when I first meet with them to be sure that they have the financial means to stay in a community long-term and age in place, so that we're not having to move 2 years down the line because they've depleted their accounts.
Yeah, and it's that, and then it's just the fact that if, particularly if somebody is going on with, some kind of an advancing condition like that, you really don't want to, once you've got somebody comfortable, you really don't want to introduce all these new factors and just upset the apple cart, if you will.
Absolutely. And also, too, I am sure to refer to the other ladies in this room when extra resources are needed, or if my services aren't needed right away. I provide resources as I am a sponsor of Helping Seniors of Brevard, and I'm sure to provide those to my families as well.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've noticed. But what is so great about both of you guys, talking about Jennifer and Denise, is I've seen you where there's not necessarily going to be business, quote, right coming around the corner, but you guys are willing to take your experience and your expertise and help a family make sure they're making the right decision, even if for the minute it might not be with you guys. We talked about this many times with Jennifer in particular, because she's so often that first rung of care. There comes a point where it's got to advance to another level, and then she knows how to help the families navigate that. Just same like you. You might meet somebody at some point, but then as things advance, they're going to call you because they know to trust you.
Yes, and that's the goal. The goal is to help my families navigate the situation, meet them where they're at, and go from there.
Yeah. No, this is good. And the conversation is really going to get lively because I would almost say drum roll, please, because when Mindy Nadeau with the Alzheimer's Association had sent us all, she sent us, this is like fresh off the press. Maybe that's the word I was looking for at the start of the show. Fresh off the press. You guys are the major investigators in trying to find solutions on a holistic level for Alzheimer's, doing all the research, collecting all the data. We were talking just before we got on the air about what an amazing resource for families that the website that Alzheimer's Association has put together. And so, Mindy, welcome. You also organized the Space Coast Walk to End Alzheimer's, which we'll talk about. But right now, I just want to welcome you to the show and have you share some of the highlights of this new data. I guess every year you guys are like pouring through it and trying to find out what trends are there and such like that. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I feel privileged to be here with Jennifer and Denise. They are such just great resources in the community, and they're so helpful to the Alzheimer's Association. So thank you for having us, and I love being here with them.
Yeah, thanks for making the time for us. I know this is a busy time of year with everything, but these statistics that you brought us some papers. One is like talking about national. And there's some statistics here that we really got to get in touch with. Like I was looking at this one where it was talking about 1 in 3. Talk about that. This is a national statistic that is here, and it's talking about the number of seniors who pass away from this kind of scenario.
Yeah, so 1 in 3 seniors is diagnosed with Alzheimer's in the United States. And so we know that that's a huge number. I mean, when you think about the people that are 65 and older that have been diagnosed with this disease, and, 1 in 3 of those seniors passes away with this disease. And it's not always from the disease, but they do have it. And we know that that's the most difficult part is dealing with that dementia and that Alzheimer's.
So this is really like a universal kind of thing that we need to think about. And then you also brought a sheet with us today that is talking about the statistics just right here in Florida. And I found this one in particular fascinating. It says, here in Florida alone, we have 877,000 caregivers, 877,000 caregivers. That's the better part of 1 million. And, we're in a state that they say is 22 million. So it's like almost 1 out of 20 people that you would run across is actively a caregiver. And in the same statistic, then they're talking about $30.3 billion is this, if you would, the market value of the time that people are having to provide caregiver services that go unpaid.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about people that are working full-time jobs that are also taking care of their children, and they're having to take time off of work to take care of their loved ones.
I think one of the things that people don't necessarily understand if they haven't been in a caregiving situation is there's no opportunity to clock out. Jennifer, you see that firsthand with families all the time.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why we always encourage them to get help and to get help early, because it is, you really don't understand it until you're there. I was talking to a friend last night who hadn't had a break in 4 months, I don't think.
Wow.
You know, and what a toll that takes, the stress that has on a person. So it's so important for people to have help and to have the resources and reach out, because that's a lot. Family caregiving, it is a blessing. It's a wonderful thing to be able to take care of your mom or your dad, but it is also very stressful.
Yeah, we always talk about, that's why they give you the little talk when you get on the airplane. They say, you know, if you need the oxygen mask, make sure you put it on yourself before you worry about the person next to you, because if you go down, then the person next to you is in real trouble. And that's even so true when we talk about caregivers, right, Denise? Because if what ends up happening is, we see it all the time when we get the calls on the Senior Information Helpline, the person who was providing the care expires before the person who needed the care, because they have just run to the end of their rope.
Exactly. And I'm recently working with a family where the husband and wife have a teenage daughter in high school. Both work full time. The daughter is involved in all types of activities, and the husband's father with dementia lives in the home with them. And it is so stressful for everybody involved. And I've already given them Seniors Helping Seniors number. And I told them, you need to take care of yourself. And the amount of stress and guilt they have when they leave their loved one at home to go off to work is almost making them sick.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that speaks to the statistics that Mindy brought to us. You know, out of that 877,000 caregivers, these new Florida statistics say that 66.4% of them have chronic health illnesses, conditions. So think, you know, they're probably working, taking care of kids, taking care of mom and dad, and now they have their own chronic health conditions. So that you know, and unfortunately, they don't, because of the stress and everything that's going on in the family dynamics, they don't get to their own doctor's appointments. They're not taking care of themselves. So it really, that compounds the issues.
Yeah, you know, I think that's why the caregivers are really like unsung heroes in all of this. And so one of the things that we're all committed to doing is finding ways to help get caregivers fact, because I tell you one thing that for sure happens, and Mindy, you can really probably speak to this because you talk to so many families and organize so many things that helps them. But I think a lot of times people, when they're going through this, they have a loved one that's got this Alzheimer's diagnosis. They feel like they're the only person in the world that is going through this. And believe me, when you are, that's you're not wrong to feel that way, but you aren't the only person going through it. There is help out there.
Yeah, you definitely are not alone. I want to say that first and foremost. I would encourage you, if you are recently diagnosed, or even if you've been in this situation for a while, I would encourage you to call. I hate to say our 800 line, but we have an 800 line that is answered by master's level clinicians that will help you 24/7. And you can call them if you're experiencing sundowning, or you can't get your loved one to get in the shower. You know, if you need help finding a resource in the community, we have all of that at that number. Also, our website is alz.org. And I know, as Denise can attest, you can kind of go down a rabbit hole there, and you can find all of the information and resources that you need, because you're not alone. We do have caregiver support groups here locally that you can attend. I know sometimes that's hard to get to those. So we do have them online also. So if you're interested in finding one of those, you can call that 800 line, or you can go to alz.org and find that information as well, so that you can do those online.
Yeah, it's so important, because to that point, you know, caregiving is not a job that you say, I'm going to sign up for. You know, it's just a job that's handed to you, and you just have to, you know, honestly rise to the occasion and try to, you know, to be honest, not get killed in the process, right? You have to find that way to work through it. And so what's the best thing you can do is get some education and learn where help exists. And there is nothing wrong with calling the Alzheimer's Association 800 number, you know, because the same reason we have a federal government, they can tackle problems, hopefully, that are bigger than we can solve on a local level. And the research and the things that you guys are able to pull together so that we can get to a solution. And everything I hear is very optimistic that we really are on the cusp of getting some real answers to this, which is one of the reasons why we all want to get behind and participate in the Walk to End Alzheimer's. Talk just for a minute about that. I know that's the fundraiser, but it's a big deal. It comes up in the fall time, and we need to get our teams together and get started with that too.
Yeah, thank you for talking about it. So the Walk to End Alzheimer's locally is at the Cocoa Riverfront Park, and it happens on September 26th this year. It's always a beautiful morning. You see many caregivers there who are just going up and hugging each other, and they recognize each other because they're carrying the yellow flower, which represents caregivers. You see people that are there that have Alzheimer's, and you see a look amongst people that they know that they aren't alone, that they're all going through the same thing, and they're all there for the same cause. So, we always love having it. Last year we had record-breaking numbers. We had nearly 1,000 people at the walk, and it was a beautiful morning. And I know that that's not slowing down because, like you said, I do feel like we are on the cusp. I mean, there's really exciting things happening. Every time we get on a call with our home office, there's new information and new hope and a new promise.
When we were talking before we got on the air, Denise Bergman, you do a lot of work with Dr. Rosemary Laird, who we're also big fans of. She's come out and spoken at some of our wellness series events, and she actually was kind of on the cutting edge of a lot of research and things that's moving us towards these solutions. And I remember walking away really inspired by one of her talks because one of the handouts that Mindy said that they use a lot is this 10 healthy habits for your brain. And I'm going to ask Mindy to walk us through that because I think it's important. But the point I wanted to get to for just this moment was to say you work a lot with her and you see like there is hope for that's coming around the corner on all of this.
Absolutely. It's what she does for families is she helps walk them through their journey, and she provides resources for them and for the caregivers to help them manage when symptoms do get worse. And she does all of her appointments virtually, which is also very helpful because oftentimes the folks with dementia have a very tough time leaving the house, and that causes more stress. So she's a fantastic, fantastic resource for our community. And I will say, back to the ALZ website, I often send that information to my families because they'll often say, Denise, I don't have time to go to a support group. And I'll say, but you need to. They have them online. You can go online and realize that you are not alone.
Yeah, this is so important. It's like once you get a sense that this may be something you're tasked to work with, and hopefully you can somehow settle it that you're giving. This is your part of giving back, and somebody's going to be there for if you need the help. But it's really important to understand you're not alone, and that there are people who are experienced who can help guide you through the whole process. I remember when Joe Steckler, who founded Helping Seniors all those years ago, he had built up the local Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation that we do a lot of work with too. In fact, we're going to be out Saturday. They are doing their big barbecue and car raffle, and they have kindly invited us out. We're going to be out there because we also do a car raffle. Ours winds up in October. Theirs winds up here at the end of April. But they're going to let us come out and have our car on site and sell tickets and things like that. But we're there to support because Joe, when he was building all that, he said we need resources that are going to help people navigate their way through things that they have never run into. And so a lot of times, I remember Joe we used to talk, he goes, Kerry, getting older is not easy. And I said, yeah, but it is on the job training. So the best you can do is get as much advice and things to be able to navigate it correctly. And when families run into this, I've heard this from Nancy Deerdorf, who answers our phones. She said, people go to the doctor, the regular doctor, and the doctor says, oh, okay, well, you've got dementia, you've got Alzheimer's, or you've got, and then they just send them out the door with a pamphlet, and then they don't even know what to do next. Mindy, how do you see that? Because you have so many tools that are going to be valuable for families when they're getting a diagnosis or trying to learn to live with this new reality.
Yeah, I always encourage people. The first thing that I tell people is to call the Alzheimer's Association. The 800 line is 800-272-3900. I say it all the time. I tell people at least 2-3 times a day, please call that number and ask them, where do I go from here? what do I do? What kind of doctors do I need to see? What do I need to do for myself? What do I need to do to plan for their future? We've got educational opportunities online also at our website, alz.org. That you can go learn about communication and early stages. What do you want to talk about with them while they're still able to make decisions? You can look up things like that online, and we have an ALZ journal that it's kind of an online tool that you can also be with other people in the community that are going through it and that have been recently diagnosed, and take you through that journey with them, so that again you see that you're not alone.
Yeah, Jennifer, we've talked so often that in what you do with Seniors Helping Seniors, where you hire seniors to come in and help seniors, you guys are often the first outside folks that come into a family situation. I guess a lot of times it's when something is going in the downhill direction with memory and things like that. And then I guess people are asking you for your advice on, what's the right steps and how do we deal with this?
Yes, absolutely. We have those conversations quite often where we are, someone has recently been diagnosed, or maybe even not diagnosed. They recognize the symptoms and there's no diagnosis yet. So we're encouraging them to get to a Dr. Visa or a Dr. Laird, get that diagnosis, and then get as much education as possible, because knowledge is power. I don't know how many times I've heard a daughter or a son say, "Mom's just being manipulative." No, Mom's really not being manipulative. This is the dementia talking. That is, and maybe Mom was manipulative a little bit when she was a younger woman. But, so many times we deflect, I guess. And when really it is, we need to be aware of what the symptoms are, what to be looking for, how to structure their environment to make them successful. And the more you know, the better off you are, the easier it is to help them do that, the easier your caregiving is, because we see it, with families where if they refuse to inform themselves, it's a much harder struggle. It's an uphill battle. Where if they have gotten the education, they've gone to the caregiver groups, they've gone online and they've educated themselves, they have a much easier journey. It's still tough, but it's a much easier journey when you have that information.
Yeah, Joe always talked about the need for everybody making an aging plan, and so we kind of euphemistically, to make it seem a little less academic, we call it getting your ducks in a row. But one of the caveats, or one of the things that we always try to point out as you're thinking about that, is we say, don't try this on your own. Get a hold of somebody that has maybe been down this road before. You don't have to reinvent wheels. There are people who can really add value by helping and guiding you along the way. So we're going to continue this conversation. We've got brand new Alzheimer's statistics released from the Alzheimer's Association. We have got great people here in the studio. Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, Denise Bergman with Senior Care Authority, and Mindy Nadeau with the Alzheimer's Association itself. And we're going to continue this conversation on the second half of Helping Seniors right after this quick break. Stick with us.
12:34 right now on 90.3 FM. You're listening to Helping Seniors of Brevard. I'm John Harper. Jim Veltro is here. Let's get back to more of the show with your host and the daily double for the day. The BOGO is he's also the executive director of the organization, and that's none other than Kerry Fink. Hi, Kerry.
Hey, John Harper, and thank you. Yeah, we're having a good discussion because we're talking about brand new, hot off the press statistics about Alzheimer's and some very good hopeful signs that are things that are coming up. And so I want to welcome you back to the second half of Helping Seniors Radio. Again, if you missed any of this, it's one of the reasons why we always put this out as a podcast, because people like to go back, maybe review some of the material that we maybe you missed in the first part, or maybe this is very appropriate for somebody that you know that can take advantage of some of the good material, because we have some great resources in the studio today with us. So let me reintroduce our panel. Is none other than longtime friend of Helping Seniors, Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors. Welcome back, Jennifer.
Again, it's good to be here.
And Denise Bergman, who is the owner of Senior Care Authority right here in Brevard County and helps families find the right place for mom, dad, aunt, or uncle, or just, just getting everybody going in the right direction. Welcome back, Denise.
Thank you very much.
And then in the studio, we're really fortunate to have with us, too, Mindy Nadeau with the Alzheimer's Association, and she is in charge of the Walk to End Alzheimer's here in the Space Coast, but also brought with us a lot of great points that are just coming out from this newly released data that the Alzheimer's Association, who's busy working on all this on a national front to get us close to a solution. Welcome back, Mindy.
Thank you so much.
So there's a document you brought here that has a couple of things talking about some key findings here, and I thought maybe it's worth us kind of jumping back into the conversation by going through this. It says, I guess this probably isn't surprising, although it is disappointing, but it also speaks to the need. More Americans have Alzheimer's disease. These statistics that you're sharing say almost 7.5 million, I think the number is 7.4 million Americans 65 plus are living with Alzheimer's. And I think we were talking in the first half of the show, 1 in 3 older adults will die from Alzheimer's or some other kind of dementia. I mean, makes it pretty much everybody needs to know something about this, Mindy.
Yeah, so I started with the association in 2022. And when I started, I remember these facts had just come out. And the number for those living with Alzheimer's in the United States was 6.8 million. So you can see in just 4 short years, that has risen to 7.4 million. I think there's more awareness, there's more recognition of the disease. And that's what we're seeing, the increase in the numbers. But that also gives me hope that more people are talking about it, more people are recognizing it and getting diagnosed, because I'm sure there were several people then that were not getting diagnosed. And the excuse me, the only way that we're going to find or end this disease is if we're going to catch it early, which is one of the things that we're fighting for right now, the ASAP Act. And that is we have a blood test now that can determine this very early on. And it's not covered by Medicare and Medicaid, but we're fighting for that. And so that's another thing that if you go to our website, you can find on there that you can ask your Congress to please help push this through, because the more people that we can get early detected, the quicker that we can find a way to end this disease.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the findings here that they were releasing in this is that Alzheimer's is one of the most costly diseases for individuals, families, and caregivers, and the government. And it's talking about the total cost for caring for people with Alzheimer's and other dementias in the U.S. is predicted to reach $409 billion, with, in addition, family friends providing nearly $447 billion in unpaid caregiving last year. To me, that's a significant statistic. We also mentioned in the first half of the show, because you were kind enough to bring us some Florida statistics specifically, and it really kind of jumped off the paper when they said there's the better part of 1 million caregivers. It's actually, the number is 877,000 caregivers here in Florida. That's, if we have 22 million people in Florida, that's almost 1 in 20 people is having to be a caregiver. And then those people are giving, it says here, 1.4 billion hours of unpaid care, which is valued at $30.3 billion. I mean, this is really all-consuming for families. Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, you see what a breath of difference it makes when you guys are able to get involved and provide some respite and some help in some direction so that they're not just swimming in all this by themselves.
Exactly. Even if we're just doing the minimum, our minimum is 2 hours once a week. So even if we're coming in and just providing those 2 hours, we now have that family, and we're providing them the resources and just an ear. Sometimes, the daughter is the primary caregiver and she just needs to talk. She's frustrated, and having someone on the other end of the line who understands. And a lot of our caregivers just have been family caregivers, so they not only understand what the person with dementia is going through, but they understand what the family is going through and can be a support as well. And we always encourage our families to please, take care of themselves, take their oxygen first, so that they can better take care of their loved one. But having that help is really crucial. And I will tell families, whether you get help from us, from somebody else, another organization, another company, please get the help, because we've seen it. We've seen it in our own family. I've seen it in dear friends where I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, but then they wear themselves out. So, I know that there's a statistic, and I forget what it is, but it's over 60% of the family caregivers end up passing away before their loved one because they didn't take care of themselves. So that's, a message that we want to get out, is to please, get some help so that you can, be in it for the long game.
It's a funny thing because we talk about in the world of helping seniors as a nonprofit. Now we're into 15 years of service, and we say, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But boy, as a caregiver, it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I was thinking, Denise Bergman with Senior Care Authority, your basic function with Senior Care Authority is that you help families navigate to the right senior living situation. You're almost, it's probably a wrong way to say it, you're almost like a matchmaker because you're taking what the senior is trying to find for that next living situation is going to be appropriate for everything that they're trying to manage. And at the same time, you're having to really understand every living option that's available for seniors in Brevard County and try to get them connected in the right place that's going to do the right thing for the senior, that's going to get them the right care they need. But one of the things you mentioned before the show was really for you as a passion is working with the families that are dealing with individuals who are cognitively challenged, and that you really see that as an area that you find very satisfying to help them get a good solution given whatever they're fighting their way through.
Absolutely. And I think, like Jennifer, unfortunately, I've had to experience family members living with dementia in my own family. So it is very personal. And so when I meet families that are going through this, I truly do try to listen with intention to see how I can help best. And let's face it, most people want to age in place in their own home. And that's one of the big hurdles that we have. So I'll have the adult children reach out to me and say, Denise, I need some help. We need to start researching communities. But then the senior just flat out refuses to go. And they say, no, I'm staying here. And this is where I'm going to spend the rest of my days. But let's face it, it's not safe. So again, that's when I always pass out Jennifer's number for Seniors Helping Seniors, because at least it is a resource, an excellent resource, while the adult children can work with me and keep the process going.
I think this is one of the key points. You both hit on this, and if you guys could have heard what we were talking about in here during the mid-show break, it's the fact that you have a personal connection to this because you guys have each dealt with this inside your family. And so not only does it mean that you're very valuable to the people that you're trying to help because you have been down this road, you have extent, so it gives you not only the experience but also the empathy to understand what the families are going through. And one of the things, here's another statistic from these key findings. It says there's a shortage of dementia care specialists and direct care workers. And to me, that's like a challenge because the numbers are going up, Mindy, and yet we need more people to be able to help us to manage all of this.
Yeah, definitely. I was looking at, and these are hot off the press to me too, so some of them are new, but the number of geriatricians in 2021 in Florida was 418. To be able to meet the demands and the needs for those facing this disease, that would have to increase by 168%.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, that's staggering to me when I hear that. Yeah. And just, we're in Florida, and I know, that our population, that's what we serve is a lot of seniors, and we're not growing. The healthcare system is not growing quick enough for that. So it's so urgent for me that we end this disease. I dealt with it in my family as well, and I remember my cousin saying to me, I had to choose safety over my mom's happiness. And that was the hardest decision I ever made. Wow. And, I hear that day in and day out, and I know you ladies do too, but, we've got to do something about this.
So, Mindy, I guess the practical step is something that we all can do, is we can get involved in the Walk to End Alzheimer's, because that's a tangible way. I mean, this is a fundraiser that you guys do, and it's not just here in the Space Coast. We have our walk here in the Space Coast, but I mean, it's nationwide, but all of the funds that are generated is really going to try to find a solution that once and for all is going to put a lot of this behind us. And in the meanwhile, it's equipping families with the tools that they need to navigate the situation. Talk about this, the walk, and then how people would get involved, or what's a good way for people to get to support this.
Sure. So yeah, the Space Coast is one of over 620 walks nationwide. So even if you're not in this area and you want to get involved, you can find a walk in your area. The majority of our fundraising goes to research. But like you said, we have all of these resources that we've talked about that you can find on our website, that you can call the 800 number, invaluable resources that are free to the community. These are all free to the community. We just want to help the community while we are trying to research to end this disease. If you'd like to get involved, we would love to have you come out. It's free to register. We don't charge you to come out and walk with us. We want you to come out and be a part of something special with other people that are going through the same thing. It's alz.org/Space Coast Walk. It's really easy, or you can just Google Space Coast Walk to End Alzheimer's. You can register a team, get friends and family out there to join you. We have a lot of companies that come out and they'll wear their company shirts, and it's a great way to represent your company and also show the community that you're supporting this cause.
We have a date for this already, right?
We do. It's September 26th at Cocoa Riverfront Park.
Yeah, so we want to make sure we save that date. September 26th is the date. Well, so let's get involved. Let's see what we can do as a community and make sure Brevard is kind of at the forefront of this. I want to shift gears for a minute because I want to leave us on kind of a hopeful note. This was a key finding that they pointed out in the new information that Alzheimer's Association released. They said, and I thought this is important. This is part of our job, all of us in this radio studio today, is to share this information. But it says Americans age 40 and older show strong interest in brain health, but lack clear guidance on how to support it. So I think part of the problem is, like, people know we got to pay attention to this, but there are some good tools. And Mindy, to that point, you brought in something called 10 healthy habits for your brain. And I wanted to share also this because we talked, Denise, Dr. Laird, I remember she came and gave a talk at our Helping Seniors offices. We could do a wellness series on the fourth Thursday of each month. In fact, tomorrow you are welcome out at the Senior Resource Center. We have two great programs. 10 o'clock, we do a program called Knowledge College for Aging, and 11 o'clock, we do our wellness series. And each month, we're trying to make sure that we're providing tools that are going to help seniors navigate their senior years. So 10 to 12 at our Senior Resource Center, which is located at 1344 South Apollo Boulevard. They gave us a big part of the second floor, and we do our best to make use of that to make good things happen for our seniors. But the point that I want to get back to was when Dr. Rosemary Laird had come out, and she was sharing that, most of us think if somebody in our family had Alzheimer's, we're like, oh goodness, that's it, I'm just right there. And she said, no, there are many tools that you can create for yourself that don't that have much higher impact on whether you're going to wind up with Alzheimer's than just strictly what your family tree has to say about it. And that left me feeling hopeful, plus the fact that we're getting closer to actually finding some medications that are going to make the difference. Like you mentioned, the blood test being a tool that could help us diagnose earlier. And this is something that I remember she said too, and then I'm going to turn this over and let you guys please comment, and definitely, Mindy, please share this. I want us to really understand that we're on the verge of things, and they say that understanding that you have a diagnosis early is a very good thing, because the tools that they have to work with now, the earlier you know, the more you can hold things back, which buys us time to get to that cure, is at least how I choose to look at it. Thoughts, comments from?
Yeah, definitely. These 10 healthy habits, this is from the U.S. Pointer study. So this is the largest study that we've done. It was a 2-year study. And what came from that is these 10 healthy habits for your brain are a way that you can lower the risk of developing cognitive decline and possibly dementia, even if you're predispositioned to it. So even if it's in your family, let's take some time and look at these ways. If you go to our website and look at the Brain Health Habit Builder, you can look at ways that you may think that you're doing things that are healthy for your brain, but they may not be. And so I think it's a 5-minute questions, and you can look it over, and it'll give you some information on things that you can do to improve your brain health and the habits that you have. Some of these 10 healthy habits are challenging your mind. So doing those crossword puzzles or the Sudokus or Mahjong, anything that you can do to challenge your mind. Get out and do some exercise, 4 days a week. If you can just increase your heart rate. And if you're doing nothing now, start somewhere. It's never too early or too late to start this. We're talking to people in their 40s and their 30s. Start now. There's no better time to start than doing that. Get a good night's sleep. How many of us get 7 hours of sleep a night, right? And, stay in school and manage diabetes, maintain a healthy weight, control your blood pressure. No, don't smoke. I don't remember the statistic, but our programs department was telling me, even if you're a smoker, quitting smoking now can greatly reduce your risk of cognitive impairment. So these are huge. I really encourage you to look into this. I know, Jennifer, you were talking about the U.S. Pointer Study, and you said that you're like obsessed with it right now. It just has so much information.
Oh, I'm so excited about this. Because it unfortunately is in my family. I did go and have the blood test done. And then I also went ahead with the genetic testing. And, when we got a hold of the Pointer Study, these are concrete steps that we can take to help, better our chances. It used to be, oh, you've got Alzheimer's. We don't know what to do with, we don't know what to tell you. We do now. There are definitely things that we can do to help. So, my blood test was good. I'm good, but, I want to make sure that I continue to be good. So this Pointer Study, the statistics out of that, the 2,000 people, the statistics were amazing, how much that this helped. So I am really trying to do what the study says. I have lost weight. I'm trying to exercise my 5 times a week, 30 minutes. I'm trying to do my strength training, and challenge my brain and do all the things that the study is telling me to do, because there are things that we know we're supposed to do for our heart health and cardiovascular health and maybe aren't doing. But boy, if we knew that we could help prevent this disease or at least delay it, wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah, no doubt. Denise, again, it seems to offer some hope for those of us who are younger and wanting to do the best that we can. I always joke is that you go to the doctor, like we were going through these 10 healthy habits, and it seems like so many of these are the normal things that the doctor's going to tell you anyway. Why don't we listen?
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. So oftentimes when I'm, meeting my seniors, I typically will have the discovery call with the adult children at first, but I always try my best when I meet the seniors to make them smile, make them laugh, try to find something, right? Because let's face it, I feel like laughter is the best medicine. And yes, we look at these 10 healthy habits for your brain and we all know them, right? But we do have to change our habits and make it a part of our day and start doing it. So when I do speak with my seniors and they'll say, well, I can't walk because my hip hurts or my knee hurts. And that's literally what my mother tells me. And I'll say, okay, well, fine, then sit in the chair. We'll go on YouTube and we're going to start doing some chair aerobics. We got this, Mom. Get your cute shoes on and we're doing this. And that's why I am such a proponent for the walk, because guess what? We're going to have fun.
Yeah. No, it sounds like it's going to be great. It's September 26th, right? So, and we can get information. We'll make sure we get this up on Helping Seniors website, Facebook page and all that. But you have a good, so we have all, so let me make sure we get everybody really clear so they go to the right website, the right 800 number, and the best place to find out information about the walk.
Yep. So our website to find out any resources and information is alz.org. If you want to walk with us, it's alz.org/Space Coast Walk. Or anywhere in the community or the country, you can go to alz.org/walk, and you'll find one in your community.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mindy, with Alzheimer's Association. Denise Bergman, I want to make sure that we don't leave the broadcast, because somebody may be going, I really could use some help. I'm just figuring this out. I need somebody local that I could trust that really could get involved and help us figure how to manage the best next chapter for Mom. How do they reach you, Denise?
So they can reach me by calling my work cell phone, which is 321-549-9045. And I have a website, Senior Care Authority of Brevard. I've got some great information on there and some commonly asked questions.
Yeah, Denise Bergman with Senior Care Authority. I'm going to have you repeat that number one more time in case people didn't get a chance to write this down. But I really want to say that, you know, I've seen you be so generous with your time to help families get going in the right direction. And you encourage people to call early on, even if it's not quite time, but you're just seeing something on the horizon. So once again.
Yes, absolutely. 321-549-9045.
Okay. And Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, you hire seniors to help seniors. So you get people to call you for a couple of different reasons. Maybe they do want to explore getting some good quality help at home. And then also you're a great employer of seniors in Brevard County.
Yes, we love to hire seniors. And one of the things that we're looking for right now is a few good men. We have a need for male caregivers. A lot of our gentlemen require or request male companionship, male caregiver. So we're looking for a couple of guys that would like to work with us. We would love it. You can give us a call at 321-722-2999. Again, that's 321-722-2999. And we are seniorshelpingseniors.com/Brevard on all social media. And I also encourage you to come out to the Alzheimer's Walk. It really is a fun day. Our team always has purple tutus. Sometimes I have purple hair. So we have a good time.
No, it's a fun event. I got the privilege of being out last year. It was terrific. So again, if you missed any of the numbers or any of the names or any of the information, just give us a call. Good number to always keep handy is Helping Seniors number 321-473-7770. Hasn't changed in 15 years, and we don't intend to change it now. 321-473-7770. And, if you call and say, hey, I heard all this and I would really like to get in touch with Denise, or I'd like to get in touch with Jennifer, or I want more information on the Alzheimer's, just give us a call. That's what we're here to do. And that is the time we have for Helping Seniors Radio this week. So we look forward to welcoming you right back here next Wednesday, lunchtime. See you then.